guys? Maidenslave here, and I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm feeling pretty happy, and you might be wondering why. Well, because we get to talk about a really good album today, and just in case you're wondering, and just in case you fucking can't read right above my head, we're talking about Sin After Sin, which is Judas Priest's third album, and it was another huge step forward, another big leap up. Obviously, they went to a major record label, and yeah, shit really changed on this album. As far as their musical direction goes, they kind of got away from the 70s thing, and they really became, you know, heavy metal on this album. There's tons of elements on this album that sound very similar to what they would be doing in the 80s. They really went from kind of a hard prog rock band to a fucking straight up heavy metal in your face. They even got the double bass drum kicks in there, which brings me to, yeah, the drummer. Third time they got a new drummer. Simon Phillips is his name. He's a session drummer. Fuck, he's amazing. The man was way ahead of his fucking time. He really had a lot of double bass drum kicks going all over the place. And this was the... I know a lot of you are probably younger, and believe it or not, there was a time before the double bass drum thing really got going. A lot of the early shit came from Motorhead and whatnot, but a lot of it actually came from Sin After Sin. I mean, well, yeah, Judas Priest and started on Sin After Sin. They went more forward with it and stuff, but yeah, he's fucking awesome. The sound of this album is fucking awesome. Once again, the guitars are really, really distorted, even more on this album. Amazing performance by Rob Halford. He starts getting more aggressive. He starts backing away from the kind of 70s vibe, and he gets a lot more kind of metal and bleh. So, fuck yeah, let's talk about it. Sin After Sin came out, yeah, 1 year after... 1 year after that there ding dang, that Sad Wings of Destiny album, that one ding dang good. It came 1 year after, I don't know, 1970, on those scrimpies. I know that's why a lot of you guys watch my videos, by the way. I just do random shit. So I think that's important, by the way, for YouTube. Can we talk about the album? Okay, let's talk about the album. Let's do it. I like the artwork. It's fucking really, really cool. Looks really dark. Looks really ominous as well. It has a little logo in there. This is the last major album that they did, actually, with the cool, gothic-looking Judas Priest logo, which I like a lot. I forgot to mention it on the last, on Sad Wings. It was also on Sad Wings. I really like it a lot, but I think it was kind of a right change after this point going on. Yeah, whatever. Okay, let's talk about this fucking album already. I guess we've been talking about it, and I always say that. It's just become a habit. Let's just fucking talk about it. First song is called Sinner. And this is another one of those cases where there is not a song called Sin After Sin. However, there's a song called Sinner. Right off the bat, this album is just pure heavy metal. I mean, just from that opening kind of distorted guitar sound, you know you're in for something here. I went from Southern accent to New York accent. That's what we do here on Maidenslave Reviews. Yeah. So from just the beginning guitar effect, it just sounds amazing. The best sounding album at this point, and it comes in kind of more of a swinging type thing. But this is actually a very complex and a very upbeat and impressive song. It's a lot more actually progressive eventually gets, and I think a lot of this progression came from Simon Phillips, who was their session drummer. He's amazing. Like, from the crazy double bass drum kicks to his fucking accented hi-hats that he does like every 5 seconds. It's just ear candy if you're into the drums. You know, there's points on this album where it almost sounds like I'm listening to some fucking thrash metal from the late 80s. I'm telling you, Judas Priest was way ahead of their time in the late 70s. Next song is called Diamonds and Rust. I'm very sure that a lot of you guys are familiar with this song. It's a very popular song by Priest. They play it live a lot. And for those of you who don't know, it is actually a cover. It's a heavy metal cover of a folk song by Joan Baez. She's an incredible folk singer. And the version itself is really amazing. It's one of the best tributes to a you know, kind of a song that has nothing to do with metal. It's probably the best in my opinion. You know, and usually you guys, if you watch a lot of my videos, I'll talk about, like, even I love Megadeth, but I burn them on almost every tribute they did. Like These Boots, it didn't make sense, it didn't work. Well, I mean, Diamonds and Rust, they changed it so much. It it was good. It's a beautiful song. It's an amazing song. It's a lot more melodic. It's pure metal, but it's beautiful at the same time. And obviously the lyrics are amazing, you know, Joan Baez and all that good stuff. Next song is called Starbreaker, and for me this is where the album slows down a little bit. It had a lot of momentum. Starbreaker is not a bad song. It's a kind of a straightforward rock kind of groove. Something that they would do a lot more in the 80s, and that's actually one of the critiques that Priest gets a lot. They kind of eventually started doing just a lot more kind of straightforward rock, you know, type stuff. Other than that, though, it's an okay song. The next song is called Last Rose of Summer, and this is another kind of okay song. I mean, from the title you can probably already figure out that it is a slower song, and for me this is one of the less beautiful, I guess you could say, slow songs by Priest. Not memorable, there you go, it's not very memorable. Next song is called Let Us Pray / Call for the Priest. Haha, Priest, Judas Priest, yeah, whatever. The song's fucking awesome, and speaking of a not good slow song by Judas Priest, the opening of this song, the Let's Pray part, and it's cool because the pray is, yeah, what it's spelled like you're getting prayed on and all this shit. It's beautiful. It has a beautiful, slow opening. Very, very good vocal part by Rob. He's amazing at this point. He's straight up in his prime, and it gets really, really fast in the second half, probably the Call for the Priest part. And it's one of those moments, again, where I kind of think I'm listening to maybe some thrash from the late 80s. It's great. Next song is Raw Deal, and this is another okay song on the album. It kind of is a heavy... kind of more of a heavy swing. It sounds a little bit more like some of their earlier 70s stuff from the last few albums. Not a bad song, however, it's a little bit too repetitive. There's not enough going on in there to kind of keep my attention. Next song is called Here Come the Tears, and this is an interesting song here. Well, because the opening actually is very interesting. It sounds like a like an old school, like 1940s ballad with, like, you guys don't know what I'm talking about, one of those like old school clubs with like the hot chick singing like a ballad about love. It kind of sounds like that in the beginning, and it's interesting, but it is beautiful. I mean, that's another part. This is another time when Rob shows that he's not just some fucking amazing screaming fucking lunatic that can go really high. He actually has emotion to his voice. He's very, like I've said before, he's very versatile, and this is one of those times in the beginning of the song where he just I went from like fucking Asian to like Nazi right there. The beginning, he's beautiful. It shows a beautiful tone to his voice. Then, you know, it gets heavier, right? Okay, and it's actually a really, really good song. His voice is like amazing. Last song on the album is called Dissident Aggressor, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this too. This is another one of those moments where it just sounded like they were way ahead of their time. Very heavy song. I love the vocals on this song from Rob. You know, Slayer covered it. I mean, that just goes to show how ahead of their time they were. Slayer covered it, and it took me a long time to figure out that it was even a cover on Slayer's album, so fuck, this is 1977. I mean, shit. Sin After Sin. It is an amazing album. It's a complex album. It still is retaining that dark atmosphere that they set up in Sad Wings of Destiny. However, it is an obvious progression. They're getting faster. They're getting less slow proggy. They're getting more heavy metal. They're starting to incorporate a lot more twin leads. They're starting to get comfortable, basically, and they're starting to kind of find themselves. Sad Wings was very impressive. Rock-a-Rolla was very confused, and I really think that from this point on, they kind of had their momentum going, and we all know where they eventually ended up, you know, being one of the biggest bands ever. They still weren't that big at this point. I know it's hard to believe for a lot of you guys, especially younger people, but they really weren't that big at this point. But this is another really, really impressive album from Judas Priest in the 1970s. So I'm going to give Sin After Sin an 8 out of 10. And that rhymed, and this is the end of the video, so fuck off!